Get ready, everyone, as we delve into the intense world of tariffs, trade wars, and a high-stakes face-off between Ford's CEO, Jim Farley, and former President Donald Trump. Trump, known for his combative approach, especially in matters of trade, had ambitious plans for tariffs on imported cars. These tariffs were part of his broader agenda to protect American industries and bring jobs back to the U.S. And Farley? Well, he wasn't exactly on board. As the leader of one of America's most iconic car manufacturers, he had a lot riding on this. Picture a boxing ring. In one corner, there's Trump, the self-proclaimed tariff man, ready to defend his vision of American economic supremacy. He believed that imposing tariffs would make American-made cars more competitive by making imported cars pricier. In the opposite corner, there's Farley, the chief of Ford, an American automotive legend concerned about the potential blow these tariffs could deal to the industry and American jobs. Farley argued that tariffs could lead to higher production costs, which would then be passed on to consumers as higher prices. This isn't just a verbal spar, it's a clash of ideologies, a battle for the future of American manufacturing in a globalized world. On one side, you have Trump's protectionist stance, aiming to shield American industries from foreign competition. On the other side, you have Farley's worries about the unintended consequences of such policies, potentially driving up prices, stifling innovation, and ultimately harming the very workers these tariffs are supposed to protect. Farley believed that the automotive industry needed to stay competitive globally, which meant keeping costs down and innovation up. So, grab your popcorn, because this is one economic showdown you won't want to miss. The stakes are high, and the outcome could have far-reaching implications for the American economy and the global automotive industry. As the debate continues, both sides are standing firm. Trump remains a staunch advocate of his protectionist policies, while Farley and other industry leaders warn of the potential fallout. The question remains, will tariffs protect American jobs and industries, or will they backfire, leading to higher costs and less innovation? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. This is a battle that will shape the future of American manufacturing for years to come. So stay tuned, because the story of a CEO, a former president, and a tariff standoff is far from over. The decisions made in this showdown will ripple through the economy, affecting not just the automotive industry, but the broader landscape of American manufacturing and trade. This isn't just about cars and tariffs, it's about the direction of American economic policy and the balance between protectionism and global competition. As we watch this drama unfold, we are reminded that the world of trade is complex and ever-changing. The choices made by leaders like Trump and Farley will have lasting impacts, and the stakes couldn't be higher. On one side, you have Trump's protectionist stance, aiming to shield American industries from foreign competition. On the other side, you have Farley's concerns about the unintended consequences of such policies, potentially driving up prices, stifling innovation, and ultimately hurting the very workers these tariffs are supposed to protect. So, grab your popcorn, because this is one economic showdown you won't want to miss. The stakes are high, and the outcome could have far-reaching implications for the American economy and the global automotive industry. The question remains, will tariffs protect American jobs and industries, or will they backfire, leading to higher costs and less innovation? Only time will tell, but one thing is certain. This is a battle that will shape the future of American manufacturing for years to come. So stay tuned, because the story of a CEO, a former president, and a tariff standoff is far from over. The decisions made in this showdown will ripple through the economy, affecting not just the automotive industry, but the broader landscape of American manufacturing and trade. Trump's tariff proposals were anything but timid. They were audacious, contentious, and designed to disrupt the status quo. He proposed imposing significant taxes on imported cars, a move that sent shockwaves through the global automotive sector. This wasn't merely about vehicles, it was about a vision to rejuvenate American manufacturing and reclaim jobs that had long since been outsourced. Factories that had been dormant for years could roar back to life. The strategy was to make foreign cars pricier, creating a financial incentive for consumers to choose American-made vehicles, thereby encouraging consumers to buy American-made vehicles. Sounds straightforward, right? But simplicity can be misleading. The realm of international trade is rarely that simple. It's a complex web of relationships and dependencies. Like a delicate ecosystem, any abrupt change can have ripple effects that extend far beyond the initial point of impact. These ripple effects reverberate throughout the entire system, impacting industries and economies in unforeseen ways. And tariffs, my friends, are like dropping a boulder into a still pond. The splash is immediate, but the ripples spread outwards. The immediate impact might seem localized, affecting specific industries or regions. But the waves of consequences spread far and wide, touching every corner of the economy. Trump's argument was that these tariffs were essential to protect American jobs and industries from unfair foreign competition. He pointed to the decline of American manufacturing, with factories closing and jobs disappearing, as evidence of the need for action. He pointed to countries like China, accusing them of manipulating their currencies and engaging in unfair trade practices, and flooding the market with cheap goods, undercutting American businesses and workers. This, he argued, was a battle for economic survival. But critics argued that these tariffs were a blunt instrument, a sledgehammer approach to a problem that required surgical precision. They believed that a more nuanced approach was needed, one that targeted specific issues without causing widespread collateral damage. They warned that the costs of these tariffs would ultimately be passed on to consumers in the form of higher prices, not just for cars, but for a wide range of goods. Everyday items could become more expensive, hitting consumers' wallets hard. And they worried about the potential for retaliation from other countries, leading to a tit-for-tat escalation, triggering a global trade war that could damage the very economy Trump was trying to protect. The stakes were high, and the outcome uncertain. Let's dive into why Jim Farley was deeply worried about Trump's tariff proposals. As Ford's CEO, Farley had an intimate understanding of the global auto industry's intricacies. He recognized that tariffs, though seemingly straightforward, could have extensive and potentially harmful repercussions. Farley's primary concern was that these tariffs would result in job losses, contrary to Trump's promises. He contended that increased costs for imported parts would compel automakers to hike prices, making their vehicles less competitive and possibly reducing sales. This scenario could lead companies like Ford to cut back on production and lay off employees. Another critical issue was innovation, especially in the growing electric vehicle (EV) sector. Farley argued that tariffs on imported batteries and other EV components would hinder investment in this vital area, slowing the progress and adoption of cleaner, more sustainable transportation technologies. Farley wasn't the only one with these concerns. Many economists and industry experts echoed his sentiments, highlighting the interconnected nature of the global supply chain. They argued that tariffs would disrupt this delicate balance, increasing costs, slowing production, and ultimately harming American businesses and consumers alike. To grasp the potential impact of Trump's tariffs, we must delve into the complex web of trade that defines the North American auto industry. This sector exemplifies the deep interconnections of global trade, with each car component often traveling thousands of miles before reaching the final assembly line. The idea of cars being built entirely within one country is outdated. That was a time when manufacturing was more localized and less reliant on international cooperation. Today's reality is far more intricate, showcasing the interconnected nature of global manufacturing. Producing a single vehicle now involves a vast network of suppliers and manufacturers across multiple countries. Modern cars are like rolling jigsaw puzzles, assembled from parts sourced globally. Each piece is meticulously crafted and shipped from different parts of the world to create the final product. The engine might be made in Mexico, the transmission in Canada, the electronics in China, and the seats in Germany. Each component is crucial to the final product, and their journey to the assembly line is a marvel of modern logistics. The final assembly might take place in the United States. This cross-border collaboration is not just convenient, it's a finely tuned system designed to maximize efficiency and minimize costs. This intricate supply chain has been refined over decades, optimizing efficiency and keeping costs low. It relies on the seamless flow of goods across borders, with each country contributing its expertise and resources. Trump's tariffs threatened to disrupt this well-oiled machine. By imposing taxes on imported parts, he risked upsetting the delicate balance of this network, causing a ripple effect throughout the entire industry. Imposing taxes on imported parts would inevitably raise production costs. This increase could lead to higher prices for consumers, reduced profits for manufacturers, and potentially job losses in the industry. The delicate balance of this network could be disrupted, driving up costs and potentially forcing automakers to rethink their entire production strategies. Companies might need to find new suppliers, renegotiate contracts, or even relocate parts of their operations to mitigate the tariffs' impact. This could lead to production delays, reduced output, and ultimately, a less competitive market. Imagine a factory in Michigan that relies on a specific type of steel imported from Canada. This steel is essential for producing certain car parts, and without it, the factory's operations would halt. Now, imagine that steel suddenly becoming 25% more expensive due to tariffs. The increased cost would have to be absorbed somewhere in the supply chain, leading to difficult decisions for the factory's management. The factory owner now faces a dilemma: absorb the increased cost, potentially cutting into profits, or pass that cost on to consumers in the form of higher prices. Neither option is ideal, and both could have significant repercussions for the business. Passing the cost on to consumers could lead to reduced sales, as they might be unwilling or unable to pay the higher prices, further impacting the industry's bottom line. This is just one example of the ripple effects tariffs can have on a complex and interconnected industry like automotive manufacturing. The impact of these tariffs would not be limited to a single factory or country. It would be felt across the entire global supply chain. When you multiply these effects across thousands of parts and countless suppliers, the potential for economic disruption becomes clear. The entire industry could be thrown into disarray, with long-term consequences for businesses, workers, and consumers alike. The potential for economic disruption becomes clear. The tariffs could lead to a less competitive market, higher prices for consumers, and a slowdown in innovation as companies struggle to adapt to the new economic landscape. In the end, the true cost of these tariffs might be far greater than anyone initially anticipated.